Ms. Williams?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Williams. I live at 21993 Moonlight Road. Thanks for the revenue neutral explanation, but the problem is you are each individually one vote out of 5 for one municipality out of possibly 3 to 5, as we discussed. And so when the final value and approval of those values do rest on your shoulder, whether you agree at the end that, yes, we agree with these, let's move forward, you're not able to promise completely that people's taxes won't go up. And so no matter the game of the percentage of a mill, my taxes have officially doubled in 5 years. And so that is a dollar amount that's increased. And so what I have a problem with too, whenever we allow these appraisals to be moved like they are, I have a lot of elderly tax clients that you're taxing, or you're putting them out of that exemption for the homestead because it is a $350,000 max appraisal. And so you got widows that, you know, depend on living in their home for the rest of their life, and now all of a sudden they don't get that credit back anymore. There is one extra credit that was added that you can go back and reference it off the 2021, but without muddying it up. For the most part, you're putting seniors in a position when you allow those appraisals to be speculated off of unrealized gains whenever they haven't sold, so they don't know they're not realizing that. You're also setting them up in the market for their insurance rates and everything to go up based off of these new appraisals. And right now in this inflationary time, people don't need one more thing going up. You know, we've got everything else. And so even the feds raise that interest rate slowly and calculated, because one little change can throw the whole thing out of whack. And so we have to be mindful of that as well when we're looking at these values. So what I think, people here aren't professional appraisers, and they shouldn't have to be, especially when they only have a couple of weeks for their deadline. I think the county has the authority to kind of put a stay on this year and say, let's not raise any of them for a minute, with a few maybe sales that happened excluded. But for everybody's, that just was changed. And I think the Directive 98-033 in your packet defines fair market value, assuming that the parties are acting without undue compulsion. And so the problem we've seen in the last 3 years since COVID is everything is undue compulsion, whether it's people with their health care or their school districts, or people moving out of California to Kansas, or all of it has been out of fear and emotion in this undue bidding wars and all of these things. And so if we could just allow things to level out for a minute and then see where they're going, and then maybe slowly start getting things to the new normal, instead of just all of a sudden keeping people from being able to budget if the school districts and places like that don't listen to them and raise their taxes again. I also have a problem with our council being a conflict of interest, because in my opinion, she, in her past job, represented the state of Kansas. On her LinkedIn, I successfully argued a multi-million-dollar oil and gas valuation case. That's against the people. My primary focus was for legal ethics, and another thing on here said I represented the department's interest. And so as citizens of this county, our staff should be representing us. Our representatives should be representing us. When I spoke on this topic last year about the fear of outside influence coming in and not representing the people, the counselor took to Twitter about me and made public comments that were inappropriate because she has a different political and personal agenda than what I did. And so I feel like even the comment that was in the newspaper about the courthouse that just said, remind those voters that, you know, it's their job to fund that district court. Well, it is, but we have ideas of other ways to do that. We don't have to spend all that money. And I know she was a nominee for the judgeship and would be in that courtroom and would benefit and stuff, but my fear is that the conflicts put her in a position, having worked for the county or for the state against the people, that possibly for future things that maybe you're not getting the full story. And so
we need to focus on the tax.
It is on
Attacking
the,
our staff
I'm
is
not
not
attacking,
fair.
I'm not attacking staff. I'm giving the fact that, and this morning, it was up for whether or not a job review over the last 2 years in a discussion of that. And I believe as we shouldn't have to protect ourselves from you guys, you should be protecting us, and that would include your staff. And I'm just saying that if they're telling you for taxes that you must do this because the law says so, but it also says fair market value is not under undue compulsion, I would just respectfully request that we look at other angles too, and not just possibly a biased opinion. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. So the few things that I will just highlight in that, The few things that I'll highlight is associated to the courthouse. We had a lengthy discussion this morning. The commission has not made any decision on a courthouse by any means. There's a lot of conversation going on to that. It's a $50 million project is not acceptable to this commission. We're looking at alternatives. We do have a requirement to provide a safe and adequate place for our judges, which we're adding judges there. So that's a broader conversation. It's really not linked into this current situation with appraisal values and taxes.
Well, today's public comment time to talk about anything, and I didn't have to be
Correct. I just
restricted.
wanted to separate the two.
I know, but I wanted to clarify because I was not attacking someone, they attacked me.
Thanks, Jennifer.